Hello and welcome back to And the Gooby Goes Too. Today were the SAG Actor Award nominations. A lot of surprises, a lot of direction maybe as to where some of these races are going. So let's just jump right into it because there's a lot of information to cover here. Kicking things off with cast and ensemble. So the five nominees we got today are Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. I went 3 for 5 on this one. I think most people probably went like 4 for 5 at best, honestly. Definitely the biggest surprise here was Frankenstein. I don't think that was like above number 7, 8, 9 on most people's predictions just because it didn't feel like a film that was going to be recognized like for its ensemble because of the fact that really like the people being recognized in that movie are obviously Jacob Elordi and then Oscar Isaac somewhat and Mia Goth's in there, but like no one's really been talking about that film as an ensemble piece, but that just goes to show how strong of a film this is. Interestingly enough, this is Guillermo del Toro's first film to ever get a SAG nomination for Best Ensemble. The Shape of Water did not get a Best Ensemble nomination when that film was making the award circuit. For me, I went 3 for 5, missing out on Sentimental Value, which we'll talk about because that was just a brutal upset overall. I obviously went very heavy on Sentimental Value, definitely too heavy, but I was like, well, if I vote for it in 5 places, I'm sure I'll at least get 1 or 2 right somewhere in here. Nope. Was safer predicting it to completely fucking miss because wow, did Sentimental Value miss with SAG. And then Wicked for Good. It's not looking good, folks. Not looking good for good. Big miss there. We'll talk about towards the end of this video. I'll discuss some of my potential changes to my DGA and PGA predictions. But that Wicked for Good miss here is pretty significant. So for ensemble, I guess it makes sense looking at it. I didn't think Hamnet was going to be that strong of a contender either. But the way I said that Sentimental Value was like the most acty film of the year, and everyone was gonna gravitate towards it in SAG because it's about actors and everything. Maybe that was Hamnet all along, because at the root of that film, they're probably at least like in the second half, definitely in the final third act of that movie, it is pretty meta in the way it is like about performance and how the impact of art at that time was so significant. Let's move on, hopping over to supporting actor. So in supporting actor, we've got Miles Caton for Sinners, Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, and Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. Another category I went 3 for 5 in. Obviously, the biggest surprise here being the first name read, which was Miles Caton for Sinners. Super exciting nomination. I think that it's great that he's been able to pick up a little bit of steam for that movie. I do think personally he's like the better breakout like leading role, even though he's supporting here, but I'm really, really, really glad that he's getting recognized somewhere because I don't think this will carry over elsewhere. Like, I think the road stops here for him, but I'm really glad that instead of just getting the Young Performer recognition at Critics' Choice, he was able to get like a major Guild Association award nomination here. So very excited for him. And then I did have Jacob Elordi out, which was really stupid in hindsight, obviously, with how Frankenstein did today. But again, like out of everybody I had for Sentimental Value, I thought for sure that Stellan Skarsgård was going to be the safest one. So it's really crazy that he even missed 2. And then obviously Adam Sandler not making it in. I think this shows that Jay Kelly is just officially dead. We'll have to see what happens with PGA. Like, it's definitely not getting into DGA tomorrow, but I'd say it's riding on the outer edge of the bubble for PGA potentially. But, Adam Sandler missing here, maybe he had a little bit of steam early on when that film was first debuting, which is how he got the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes recognition. But missing at SAG, that's pretty bad because if you don't know, and gosh, I'm probably going to end up doing a whole Oscars nomination breakdown explanation video, but every branch nominates within their respective like trade categories. So for nominating the acting awards at the Oscars, it's all actors doing those nominations within the Academy itself. And the biggest overlap that you have is with SAG, since basically just about every actor you would expect to be an Academy nominating member is going to be, a union carded SAG member. So that voting overlap is one of the best that you can look at, which is why we look at SAG so heavily as it pertains to some of the acting awards. Not so much like with random nominations that pop up here and there. So like Miles Caton as an example, I don't think that projects so much as him being a potential nominee now for the Oscars. But with Adam Sandler missing here after picking up a couple precursors, I do think that's pretty significant that the acting branch is not going out so hard for him. And I do think this is very much the end of the road for Jake Kelly. All right, hopping over to supporting actress. Brutal, 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 brutal. 2 for 5 on this one. The only 2 I got right were Teyana Taylor for One Battle and Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good. Again, predicting both of the sentimental value girls. Not smart on my part, I guess, because they both miss. So that's 2 misses. And then Emily Blunt missing for the Smashing Machine, which I guess in hindsight wasn't that likely to happen, but we're all just cursed by the fact that Emily Blunt seems to always be nominated by this group and by her peers. But in place of that, we got my favorite nomination of the day, Odessa Zion for Marty Supreme. Again, that being like the first name read in the category. I was literally in the bathroom at work and I like fully clenched, had a full freak out moment when that first name was read with Odessa. I think that is such a fun and deserved nomination. I think in this case, it does show some potential steam for her campaign with the fact of, you know, throughout the debut of that movie, everyone was talking about how she's giving the better performance between her and Gwyneth Paltrow. Like she's more intriguing just because of the fact that like her character has a bit more to do and she's such a great breakout and like just delivers a great performance throughout the film, especially with how much she's going toe to toe with Timothée Chalamet throughout the movie. But a lot of people kind of wrote it off like, I don't, you know, it's too crowded. She's in the movie with Gwyneth Paltrow, who probably has a better shot at picking up awards buzz for this film. So the fact that SAG went for her is really cool. I would say we can be on the lookout for her to potentially be an upset nomination now with the Oscars if they can campaign this right and get her out there more than they've already been doing so. But, you know, she has a good package deal where she's been in everybody's face so much already because of I Love LA. And now she has Marty Supreme, and that whole marketing campaign, you know, just being as smart as it has been so far, I think is definitely helping her chances a little bit. And then aside from Odessa, we had Amy Madigan for Weapons, which I should have predicted, just so stupid that I didn't, frankly. And then Wunmi Mosaku for Sinners. So this Best Supporting Actress race is getting really tough because these 5 nominated for SAG like would be an incredible Oscars 5, but that means that both of the sentimental value girls are gone. And I think at least one of them is getting in for the Oscar, if not both. So we got to figure out of these 5 that are here, which 1 or 2 get booted in order for the Elle Fanning and or Inga Ibsdottir Lilius to get in. So this is going to be tough. We're definitely going to have to look to how the Golden Globes pan out on Sunday, and then also, you know, the BAFTA long list coming out and seeing if any of these people miss that list, which, like, I don't know if any of them are. You know, I could see every single one of these, like, you know, 7 that I'm talking about making it in. And then what's hard is, you know, the BAFTA nominations this year are coming on the 27th, 5 days after Oscar nominations. So we will not have those to help us this year. So it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot in terms of these Best Supporting Actress predictions, but it makes it very fun at the very least. And I do hope as well that like some of the winning gets split up as well, and that like Amy Madigan doesn't just sweep the whole season, because I think it'd be very cool to see a lot of these different performances get recognized because they all were incredible, and it would just make Oscars night so much more fun than it has been the past few years in the supporting categories. All right, moving on to lead actor. So I did a lot better here than in some of my other categories. I went 4 for 5, getting the 4 that are probably obvious for everybody: Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. And then I had picked Jeremy Allen White sort of as a, well, maybe he'll get like rescued here and that's it, and that's officially the end of the road, but they wouldn't even bite for it at SAG. Also to note, Jeremy Allen White did not get a nomination for a Best Actor in a Comedy Series for The Bear, so he kind of got like a bit of a double whammy today. So instead, we got Jesse Plemons for Begonia, which I think is a great pick. I was not the biggest fan of Begonia. I gave it a 7 out of 10 after my first viewing. Maybe I need to see it again. But I can recognize that his performance in that film was spectacular and like is absolutely worthy of being recognized throughout the season. So I'm glad that he hasn't disappeared and has definitely like proven to be strong. And we'll have to see what happens, like if he can carry this out. But I think in terms of like looking for the Oscars, the only people I think are safe are Timothée Chalamet and Leo. Other than that, I think everyone's at risk here. And I will talk more about this like as I go through some of my Oscar predictions in a week or so, but I think Michael B. Jordan is definitely at risk. we'll have to talk about why specifically. I don't think it's because of like his performance in the movie. I think we're going to have to talk about the way that actor nominations are done. And spoiler alert, when the acting branch nominates for the Oscars, they have to force rank their picks, and like the higher you're ranked, the more points you get towards your nomination. So it's not just about writing 5 names in, the order that they're written in matters as well. And I think Michael B. Jordan is going to end up being very similar to Margot Robbie and Barbie, where everyone recognizes, this was a great performance, but it wasn't my favorite of the year in comparison to some of these others. And so I'm going to put it at like number 4 or 5. And, you could get fourth or fifth on like 80% of the ballots, but if you get beat out by, 3 or 4 other performers who are getting 20, 30, 40% of the number one votes, like it's going to boot you out. So I am thinking that's ultimately what may happen to Michael B. Jordan. In order to fit somebody in like Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent, we got to talk about Lee Byung-hun for No Other Choice. I know that movie's been really quiet, but it is getting more of a release now. It could perform some major upsets at the Golden Globes on Sunday. We don't know yet. So yeah, like I said, like I think that Timmy and Leah are the only safe ones here, and everyone else is at risk for someone to slide in with enough passionate number one votes to boot them out. And then finally, our Best Actress 5. So we have Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another, Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue, and Emma Stone for Begonia. So I went 3 for 5 here. Hindsight, should have predicted Rose Byrne, I guess. Again, I do think it could be the Jennifer Aniston and Cake situation. Jennifer Aniston did get that SAG nomination, and then it ended there for her, and she did not get BAFTA. She did not get the Oscar nomination. But who knows? It's clear that like there are a lot of people very passionate about this. She has a very strong campaign. I think a stronger campaign than Jennifer Aniston did. And then Emma Stone. Can't count her out, I guess. I think a lot of us have been thinking that this Begonia performance doesn't necessarily stack up to a lot of the work we've seen from her in the past several years. Like when you look at her, especially her win for Poor Things, movies like Birdman, The Favorite, but she was very good in the film overall. And in that place, Cynthia Erivo out. I can't believe I'm saying it, and I hate to be saying it, but she's done. Cynthia Erivo is officially out of this race, and it breaks my heart. But missing Critics' Choice, missing the SAG nomination, where SAG went absolutely apeshit for Wicked Part 1 last year. Wicked for Good, missing Best Ensemble. It's like Ariana or bust at this point, and with how that Best Supporting Actress race is, she could even be at risk at this point. So we'll have to see. And then obviously Renata Reinsva for Sentimental Value. So I think we maybe have 4 out of 5 in this list for Best Actress going to the Oscar nominations. I think Renata Reinsva is definitely swapping somebody out. And at this point, I would say it's probably, I don't know, out of these 5, I still think Jessie Buckley's the only safe one. I think any of the other 4 of this list could get swapped out for Renata Reinsva to slip in. All right, that's enough for SAG. So let's talk DGA and PGA really quick. So DGA nominations will come out sometime tomorrow. The TV ones already came out today. I'm not changing my 5. One Battle, Sinners, Hamnet, Frankenstein, Marty Supreme. It's the SAG Ensemble 5, and I think it just makes sense at this point. I don't see anybody upsetting. Like, if Sentimental Value had a really good day at SAG today, I would say maybe they could pull one of these out, but all 5 of these movies did very well with SAG today, and I don't see why those directors wouldn't be nominated in conjunction tomorrow with the guilds as well. And then PGA, again, I've got the DGA 5 and the SAG 5 as my top 5. Those movies are just cemented in place, perfectly fine, nothing to worry about. But the other 5 here, I think have something to worry about with how poorly Sentimental Value did with SAG. I don't think it's number 6. I think it's like number 9 or 10 right now on the PGA list. Wicked for Good, honestly, I might end up swapping it out at the last minute with how poorly it did. Now, I mean, it's been doing okay with the other guilds. It got the makeup and hair, it got the set decorators, it got the art direction today. Granted, those all have a lot of nomination slots available, so it is kind of hard to miss those. It got costume, so it's doing okay with all the other guilds. It got, the 1 SAG nomination, so I'm not too convinced yet that I'll boot it out. But again, I think it's at number 9 or 10 right now. I think it's going to be sliding in on the skin of its teeth. F1, I think the whole narrative of it being the highest grossing original movie of all time is going to carry that through. On the producer end. And then Train Dreams, There's usually at least one indie film, like, sensitive story within the PGA 10, and I think this one makes the most sense. You know, it's very American, it's Netflix. It just makes so much sense for it to, like, stay here within this. Like, if it were an international film, I'd be more concerned, but I think it can hang on there. And then Avatar: Fire and Ash. There's so many blockbusters here. I think that's the problem too, where, like, we're not used to having so many, like, between Sinners and Wicked for Good and F1 and Avatar: Fire and Ash, like, that's a lot of money for the PGA 10. And so I'm like, I feel like between Wicked for Good, F1, and Avatar, something has to come out. And I think Avatar has proven to be the least reliable on maintaining momentum, like, especially the fact that, like, it should be the most relevant since it just came out and it's really just not doing anything. So I might end up swapping that out, but if so, what for? So honestly, at this point, I think I'm actually going to swap out Avatar: Fire and Ash for Begonia. I think Begonia has proven to be much stronger. You know, it's got 2 SAG acting nominations. How's it doing with the other guilds? It's got a costume guild nomination. It's got a set decorators nomination. It's got an art directors guild nomination. Like I said, it's got the 2 acting nominations at SAG. It's got a makeup and hair. Yeah, you know what? I've convinced myself. I am absolutely pulling Begonia in here in lieu of Avatar: Fire and Ash. So that's going to be my only change for now, and we'll see what happens. But thank you all so much for joining on this Wednesday evening. Happy hump day. Stay tuned. You know, again, we're in the throes of it right now, so I'm just going to be bang, 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 bang with content. But hopefully it's fun and you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. Probably a combined video coming this weekend of DGA and PGA reactions, which should be pretty short and simple because I don't expect anything too crazy to happen. And then Golden Globe winner predictions, since the Golden Globes are this Sunday evening. So stay tuned for more. Thank you all so much.